Hello everyone, I'm Russ,
And I'm Giles.
and we're the Morrison Mortgage team, and this is just a quick video for all the people that are in TD variable rate mortgages that we've placed in the past couple of years. We're fielding a lot of calls right now. We know you're getting letters, so let's address that right now so we can help you guys out. We do know, just to make sure that everyone understands, is that part of the advantage of going with that variable rate mortgage, the VRM payment, where it stays static so the payment doesn't change as the rates increase, that was definitely a benefit. It still is a benefit, but we really didn't expect rates to be going up 3% in a 6 to 8 month period in that range. So how do we deal with it now? So with that being said, firstly is that you would have received a letter about the trigger rate, and then we're also going to talk about the trigger point as well. So Giles, tell us a little bit about the trigger rate and your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so customers have been receiving, as Russ said, letters, or you may not have received this yet, but you may in the future, mentioning the trigger rate or trigger point. And the trigger rate is when the interest rate gets to a certain level where at this rate, your payments, if they're locked in, let's say your payments are $2,000 a month, the interest exceeds that amount. So if the interest rate goes high enough, then your fixed payment doesn't cover all of the interest at that new higher interest rate. So that's what your trigger rate is. At this point, the interest of this additional, because your payment isn't covering this, so the amount will accrue and your mortgage amount will get bigger because you'll be owing kind of interest that your payment isn't covering. There is the trigger point as well. So the trigger point is something slightly different, where either when this accruing amount, so when your mortgage is getting bigger, it reaches 80% loan to value, or for some categories this is slightly different, or your original mortgage amount, then TD will reach out to you at this stage. Now, at this stage, the trigger point, you have two options as and when it gets to this. So you can your TD will say either you need to make a lump sum payment to bring this back down, or lock into a fixed rate. That is in the future. We haven't had clients reaching their trigger point yet, but the trigger rate is more of the key one for right now.
So really the trigger rate leads into the trigger point.
Exactly.
Right? So at this point in time, like Giles has mentioned, is that, you've got some options. You've got four options that we've kind of outlined in emails and stuff to our clients, and that is the four options are: you can make a lump sum payment, okay, and your lump sum payment is up to 15% of your original mortgage amount each year without penalty. You can increase your payments as well. So you can increase your payments up to 100% of the original amount. So if they were $1,000 to start, you can go up to $2,000 over the next 5 years. The only catch or caveat that we found with TD is that once you raise your payments, if the prime rate starts to fall, when it does, is that your payments won't change. You can't lower them again. So you can increase them, but you can't bring them back down. So we're recommending that if you want to have low payments, maybe you make a lump sum payment or something like that in lieu of increasing your payments. Giles mentioned you converting to a fixed term. So you can convert to a fixed term, and what's happened now is that the 1 and 2 year terms, which people have been looking at, they've gone up a little bit as well as of recently, and the lenders know that. So what's happened is they've boosted up their 1 and 2 year terms as well, which they're sitting probably anywhere from like 5.2 to 5.4 in that range for like a 1 and 2 year term. The other alternative is just to do nothing at this point and wait for the time comes of the trigger point happens. At that point, they'll ask you for a lump sum payment. We've reached out to TD to ask them, do you have any calculators, anything like that you can give us to help our clients, and they're working on them. So hopefully we have something like that from them at some point. So any other thoughts on that, what we recommend and stuff? Like, the idea is like, what do we think the prime rate, this is is just our thoughts on this, is what we've read and what we feel as we head into a recession and stuff and that. So by no means are we predicting anything, but the general feeling or consensus is.
Generally with the market, as we may have touched on in some of our newsletters as well, we are potentially expecting a further increase of 0.5 to 0.75 as well. So this may cause some of you to receive these letters, or the trigger rate to be reached. But then after that, the rates to be held and then come back down again. So we do, for now, and based on all the information in the market, foresee this as more of a storm to weather for the next year, maybe more or so, before rates come back down. So what do we recommend? It depends on people's circumstances, and do reach out individually. We can discuss this with you as well. But if you are able, one thing that we have been recommending for our clients, our number one option would be to make a lump sum payment, and then you can try and keep your mortgage in line with where it would have been had rates not gone up, or as close to that. And by making extra payments for whatever you can, you'll avoid reaching this trigger point where you'll kind of have to make a choice of locking in or making a lump sum payment. If you can't do that, it may be that your trigger point is much higher than where you are currently anyway. So you may have a bit more time, and if you're unsure about that, or if things are tight, then you can reach out and we kind of discuss that with you.
Let us know. That's what we're here for. And that, and just lastly is, just looking at some of these, like the option of locking into a fixed rate. So some people have asked me, or many people have asked me, should I lock into a 5-year fixed rate? The challenge that we have right now is that the 5-year fixed rate is around 5.2 to 5.5 in that range, and the variable is still down at the low fives. The variable probably will go up 0.5 to 3/4, so they'll be sitting roughly about the same. But the challenge we have is that in the next couple of years, we anticipate that these rates are going to come back down. So if you're in a 5-year fixed at like 5.4%, and then you're in a variable, if the rates happen to come down when they do, is that if you're stuck in that fixed rate and you want to get out of that product, the penalty can be very, very expensive. So the variable, you're able to come down and really take advantage of the lower rates as the variable goes up and down and so forth. So, but that's just one thing. But if you need advice on that stuff, you're having any challenges on anything, that's what we're here for. Please reach out. Anything else, Giles?
Yeah, I think that's the key point. We are here to help. Everyone's situation is unique, and everyone's needs are slightly different as well. So if you have any questions, if you also everyone's trigger rate and trigger points will be different depending on your mortgage and everything like that as well. So if you have any of those questions, do reach out, and we're happy to connect and kind of help you a bit further on this.
Yeah, some challenging times and different times right now, but we'll help you through them. So never hesitate to reach out.
Thanks.